Hey, what's up, y'all? Back again with another video. I hope you guys are all taking care of yourself the best way that you know how, drinking water and staying hydrated, and eating foods that resonate with you. So I want to talk about how you can use your sensitivity to discern the narcissist, because a lot of people like to use that you may be too sensitive as a person, and they'll use it against you and throw it in your face that you may be sensitive, or you may be reacting or crying or responding to the things that they are doing. And so what you want to do now is to go inward within and not react, what they call the whole gray rock situation. No matter how you feel, because you want to, stand up for yourself. I really don't think that every situation is about reacting, like you're reacting to that narcissist because you want validation. In a sense, yes, I understand it, but I do feel like there is a lack of knowledge of how energy works, because a lot of people tell you to stand up for yourself, especially when you were younger. They may have told you to stand up for yourself and, fight or whatever the case may be, or respond back. And what I want to say is that when you are reacting, because there's a thing called energy, when you're reacting to the narcissist, for one, you're giving them food to munch off of your energy. And two, it's in a way where you are like you're feeding into the energy, so it's gonna continue, like the energy is gonna keep going with it because you're putting your energy with theirs. So it's going to amplify. But if you don't react and you don't respond and you go gray rock on that individual, then they won't have nothing to feed off of. So I really do think that it's a lack of knowledge for some people, because like for me, I don't really care about what others think, but I do know, like, I do want to stand up for myself, because nobody needs to walk on anyone here on this planet Earth. We all deserve respect, and because we can't move in the fact that everyone deserves respect, because everyone doesn't look at everyone as one, because they don't look at each other as one, then you really do have to scale back your respect. You don't have to be nice to everyone. You don't have to cater to everyone's needs. That's what they have to do. Just like you're responsible for loving on yourself, they're just as responsible for loving on them as well, and giving themselves what they need to parent themselves. We all have to be a parent in our own way. You really do have to be your own parent to that little boy or that little girl that's inside of you. You could take care of your own self. And you have that power to do that. You have the energies to do that. Give yourself what yourself needs. So when you're reacting to the narcissist, it's just adding fuel to the fire energetically, and it just snowballs and it keeps going, and they keep coming towards you because they're getting what they need. So I do feel that it is a lack of knowledge of how energy works. It's not always about getting validation, because I personally do not care about how people think of me. But there are times where you do have to respond. So it's a really, really fine line, and it could be tricky when it comes to understanding how energy works. And when you do respond, just to see if you're new to energy, you're new to spirituality, you're new to learning yourself, you're learning how people react and what they don't react, what works for you and what doesn't. Some people, they're in a certain stage of their life where it is time for them to speak up for themselves. And maybe the next stage is to not say anything at all. And they are solidifying who they are even more. So if that makes sense. So, you have to judge, you have to be the judge of your own autonomy of what works for you, when it comes to energy. So I do highly believe it is a lack of knowledge as well when it comes to understanding how energy works, but it can provoke more energy from the narcissist to get from you. When you are using your sensitivity, and people look at others that are sensitive in a negative way, they may look at them as weak. Like I said, you could start using your sensitivity as a benefit. Use the narcissist. Use them. Start to use the narcissist as your benefit. And what I mean by that, you see what triggers you. You see what you can handle. You become observant of that individual. And then you'll start to see the traumas that they hold and what they entertain on a daily basis. So use the narcissist for your benefit. Use your sensitivity in a different way. If they're talking about you, automatic low self-esteem they have. Automatically low self-esteem that they have. Don't let them project that onto you when you probably never even felt shitty about yourself in the first place. Don't allow them to put that energy on you so you can claim it as yours. Automatically think in your head that that individual, they just have low self-esteem. They're dibbling and dabbling in their false self, their egoic 3D self. So when you start to use your sensitivities in a way where it's not depleting you, but you're using it as discernment, that's where you have the upper hand. And you have to practice not reacting when those situations come about. And all of us have to do that from time to time. Practice not reacting, especially if you've been the type of person who does react all the time, because it's just an energy. It's just an energy game. And the devil energy has jumped into that individual, and they are deciding to operate in that devil toxic energy because it's all here. And the key is to not get offended at the fact that they are hijacked from a negative force that they are, that is basically inside of them. Because a lot of people like to say that that the devil made them do it. No, honey, that was you. That was you deciding to act on that negative frequency instead of going like the higher route and making a better decision. You know, no one is making you do anything, but you have to realize that the energy is there. We can all play in negative energy if you wanted to. It's all here for us. But it's having that discernment of when to use that energy in a righteous way. There's nothing wrong with being negative in a righteous way at times, because God is telling you to do that. You know, once you conquer once you get over your own personal trauma, you'll be pretty clear to where you'll know that it's time for you to speak up, or you have to cut someone out. Sometimes it's needed. You know, God is asking for you to do that. And that's when you know that you're in, you know, you're not always in that energy, that negative energy. But when it calls for it, you know, and it's righteous, it's okay. And there's no reason to feel guilty about it. But the thing is that a lot of people engage in that negative energy consistently. That is their main thing that they participate in, is negative energy, lower energy, I should say. But I just want to give notice that both of them are here. There's negative low energy, and then there's righteous negative energy that has to be dealt with. But you know that you don't always fester in that low energy majority of the time. You know, you do want to have more integrity, more honesty, more autonomy with yourself. The percentage has to be higher than you dibbling and dabbling in the lower energy. And then you could decipher when to use that negative energy, because we are both. It's just, when do you want to use it? And when you are discerning when to use the quote unquote lower energy to meet someone where they're at, because sometimes people don't listen. Sometimes the people that you're around, it could be family members, it could be a partner, it could be a friend, it could be a cousin. Some of those people, you know, you love them dearly, but sometimes you got to meet them where they're at so they can understand on that level. And it's righteously so. You know what I mean? Like, don't feel guilty for being in those moments where you're being called to do it. You know, you're being called to do it. I'm not talking about a person who just goes out of their way to cuss everybody out, to give everybody an attitude, and they're not necessarily working with themselves within. That's totally different. So there's definitely a fine line of discernment, of what door of discernment to tap into in these situations. You know, there's a way to be loving and to tell people like, hey, like, don't cross my boundaries, or whatever you need to tell them. And if they don't respond, like I said before, you just have to leave it at that and know that that's not an individual that you want to continuously engage with, because they're just showing you they're on a lower scale right now. And that's okay, because we've definitely all been in that. But like I said, you want to get more meticulous about when and how you react, and what percentage scale are you on when it comes to continuously reacting, and admitting that you probably have been in a reactive state throughout the days, throughout the months, throughout the days. You have been more reactive than you should be. And that's okay, because it's telling you about yourself. But the fact that you are noticing and recognizing that you are reactive, because like I said, it's righteous negativity that you have to dish out to people, like that quote unquote reactive abuse, that is totally normal, of someone continuously pushing your buttons when they know that they shouldn't be doing it. They're intentionally trying to trigger you. You know, this is what people do, and that's very much so childish, and they don't even recognize that they're doing it. But they do recognize that they're doing it because they're getting a high off of making fun of you or poking fun of you and trying to trigger you with things that you know, that it's just like, come on, it's so apparent that they are trying to trigger you. And you know what you do? You ignore them. You ignore them. Like, you got to be stronger than your environment. You have to be stronger than any environment that you come in contact with. You really do. Because that's going to help you and allow you to focus on yourself. You know, when you're in that energy of just being the most powerful person in the room, you know, you got to be stronger than the people in the room. Everything that you have been learning online, everything that you have been reading up on the narcissist, now it's time to put it to work. Now it's actually time to implement that every time you are in certain spaces. That's how you retrain your brain to become the better and the better you, the higher self. It's just repetitive behavior that is different from what you've done before. And like I said, use the narcissist to your benefit. Use the narcissist to see where you have blind spots, where you still are maybe insecure, or is it a lack of knowledge about energy? Because once I knew about energy, I was just like, oh, like, my emotions don't really mean much, you know, at the end of the day. What I have to feel, I will feel it, but a lot of the stuff, I don't have to feel other people's projections, because it's not me at the end of the day. It's just me deciding if I want to tap into that or not. And I hope that makes sense, because I really do feel like it is a lack of knowledge of the whole concept of energy, you know, versus trying to get validation. I don't look for people's validation. If anything, I try to get away from people. I want to mind my own business. Like, I don't want attention from others like that. I really don't. So, if you're like that, then, maybe it's energy that you have continuously felt like you had to do these things and act this way because everybody else is acting that way. And you don't have to, even if you have to stand alone and be the scapegoat. Allow people to call you a scapegoat. Allow yourself to be a scapegoat. Like, let it happen. Because when you let it happen, what happens is that God steps in and rectifies everything that they have been projecting onto you that's actually their stuff. So feel secure within yourself that God has your back. So it's more about like having more faith about God. And I do feel like with humans, because we are in this body, in this dense body, we forget that God is working through us. Because when we're in it at times, we feel so human. We're in whatever is going on, and we forget in those moments that God is actually working through you. So allow people to scapegoat you all motherfucking day. Allow it. Because I guarantee you, if you did not do anything and your intentions are the highest for the greatest good, then it will show up. It will show up. And when you strengthen that recognition of remembering that God is working through you, that you can't do everything on your own, just like a manager, there's some managers who, I know that I do this as a manager, I end up wanting to do everything, taking the load of everything, everybody's stuff, and trying to do everything to make everything work. And that's not good. It's not, sometimes people say that that's a lack of, not trusting your employees. It's just that I personally don't want my employees to feel like I'm not there for them. And it's not a people-pleasing thing. It's a team thing. It's a humanity thing that comes from my heart. So it's different perspectives that you can look at yourself. It's not always what everybody always says online, that you are, doing this or being this way. What is your true you? What is your true intentions? So as a manager who takes everything on because you don't want anybody to feel like you are putting everything on them, as we've all seen people who are managers who put everything on the other people, but the manager's not participating or doing anything. So with your energy, you don't have to put energy. You gotta know that it's not all on you, that God is also working with you. You're not alone and by yourself and left hanging because you can't see God. Sometimes we forget that you can't really truly see God physically like that. And so it kind of tricks the brain. So this is that repetitive thinking that you have to get into, that you do have the ultimate faith, that there are spirit guides around you, that God is working through you. You have to continuously remind yourself that when you get lost in the human aspects of things, and understand that you are doing the right thing, you are doing things intentionally, and because of that, because you are meeting God halfway, God will work through you and everything will start to show. The whole thing where they say, what's done in the dark, everything will come to light. And that's the truth. It may not come out right then and there that you didn't do it, but eventually it will. Whether they tell you or not, it will come out. And you're not always there to witness when they found out that you weren't the one that was actually doing whatever was going on in that chaos, and that's something that they will have to reflect on because your intentions. So use the narcissist as your benefit. Use the narcissist as your benefit. Don't be scared of the narcissist because they're just as a person as you are. And it doesn't matter if it's a man or whatever the case may be. The one that shouts and is loud and all this stuff, sometimes that's the one that's hurting the most. Sometimes that's the one that is hurting the most. So remember that. And remember that you are more than just your body. You're more than just your body. You're bigger than just your body. You have to remember that. You really do. And like I said, it's a repetition thing to constantly be able to tap into that, because I understand when you're interacting with people, you can easily forget and become ungrounded within. So be grounded. Practice being grounded. You can go in nature. You can meditate. Take your herbs, because that also helps you with grounding. Take care of your stomach. Take care of your chakra points within. That definitely helps you stay grounded. Watch the foods that you eat. You know, these things matter to help you tap into yourself. Every percentage of everything that you do, every decision that you do matters. And it adds up over time. It adds up over time. And eventually, everything that you have been investing in when it comes to yourself and your autonomy and your spirit, it will start to outweigh the external, and these people will not have the balls to even try you. And if they do, there's going to be repercussions for them trying to do that, and you're not going to participate in that energy, because the world tells you that you have to be a nice person. The world tells you that you have to participate in all these things to be considered a good person, and it's absolutely false. You don't want to necessarily judge people, especially like on petty things like what is this person wearing and why are they wearing their hair like that, unless you're genuinely curious what led you to getting that hairstyle, what led you to wearing that particular dress. There's a way to do it. But if you're coming at it in a jealous manner, whether it's a career, you're jealous of someone's career, maybe that's something that you're interested in. You know, it's all about looking at jealousy differently. It's all about looking at jealousy differently, envy differently, looking at your sadness and your depression differently, and even numbness. A lot of people talk about, oh, I'm numb. That's not a bad thing. We think that we're supposed to feel all the time, and you're not. Sometimes the body needs a break, especially with women. Women can be really, really emotional beings, and there's no balance there. They get balance from the external if they have a boyfriend, but where's the balance within? Where is the balance within? You know, I saw a video about a girl who was talking about how her boyfriend basically is carefree. He does whatever he wants and he's happy and jolly. But for her, she worries about everything, leaving her to worry about everything and be emotional about everything. And a lot of people were saying that they experience that in their relationships, that the man is carefree and tells the woman, why are you worried about that, blah, 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 and puts it on her to worry. But women, you don't have to worry about those things. You absolutely don't. You communicate better about what you want and what you need out of that situation. 2, stop worrying about things. Tap into that energy as well. You have every right to do the same. And to think that things won't get done, they will if you communicate to your partner, hey, this is what I need to get done. And a lot of women feel like they have to tell their partner what they need. Sometimes you do. And if you're tired of doing that consistently, then maybe that's not the partner for you. But the point is to try, communicate, voice your opinion, tap into that energy as well. You don't have to stress about everything that's going on. Maybe if there is a lot of things going on, start to redirect your energy of worrying and just being like, I know that it's going to get done. Be happier when you're doing it. Maybe tap into that and see how that works out for you. And maybe it'll change the energy in the room and he'll come over and start to participate. But you have to notice your emotions and how you're investing so much into worrying, because worrying isn't good. It's not. It's very depleting. It's very low. You start looking at your partner in a negative way. You start looking at your situation in a negative way, and that's not the point. It's that worrying is a step above trying to look at your worrying in a different way. And it's not to say that to diss your feelings, but it's starting to regulate your own personal nervous system so you can enjoy life too. You have every right to enjoy life as well. And why do we have to look at chores as a negative thing? Why do we have to look at it as such a horrible thing when it can be very therapeutic to be able to slow down and to be present? And think of it this way: if you're keeping things clean and you're enjoying it and you're doing it little by little or piece by piece, you get a list of the things that you do want to get done and you spread it out so it's not too intense, and you're putting energy into the room that's helping change the atmosphere. That's how powerful your energy is, women. That's how powerful it is. You can even meditate while you are cleaning and doing the dishes and doing whatever you need to do and being in your own zone. That's a point of being present and just appreciating life. And this is things that I had to tap into because I lived with a family and I was continuously cleaning, continuously doing this, continuously doing that. Now that I live on my own, it has definitely paid off. And now, because I don't have people on me about doing this and doing that, it comes second nature and I enjoy it better. I enjoy it in a way where I'm like, I'm cleaning out the energy. I'm cleaning out negative energy. I'm not attracting energy because I'm getting out the stinky smells. I'm getting out the dirty dishes. Now I can be free. Now things are clear, you know? And then when you change be the one to want to change the environment in a different way versus then continuously complaining, because you have a right to complain, especially in the beginning. But now what are you going to do after? Now what solutions and techniques do you have, or tools that you have that you could tap into to spread the energy within the room? If you're the one who's stepping up and being the person that's like, I don't want to do this no more, so it's got to be you. You got to be the example. Let God work through you. Spread that motherfucking energy around the house and people will start to change. Stop talking, maybe stop talking as much. Become more internal. Because women are more external with their emotions, but you could become internal with your emotions and use them in a different form where you don't have to say nothing and you affect the whole room. Everybody start cleaning out of nowhere. So this is the things that you could tap into. And like I said, I'm not dissing the way that you feel, because I felt a lot of things, but now I am choosing. I know that there are options, and a lot of people don't know that there are options because when they were younger, the options of even choosing a different food and what to eat or what to wear was very limited. It's very much so do as I say. So you grow up thinking that there's no options for you, even on a spiritual level, and there absolutely is. For you to think differently, for you to be the own producer of your own video game. And if someone that's around you, a partner or a friend or a family member, can't keep up, God will definitely remove you in due time. But God wants to see, what energy are you going to commit to in these situations? Are you going to allow the emotions to overtake you and become overbearing and tell you how to act? Or are you going to tell your emotions how to act? And you're not going to fall for the, oh, I'm worrying, oh, I'm stressed. You're not going to fall for it. You're going to fall for it less and less and less every single time. So when God sees that you are committed to the energy of accepting everything that you are in and readjusting how you look at what you are in, then God will get you out. God will get you out so you can have change and upgrade you to what you actually really truly want. And then that will be another process of healing in its own. That's another adventure of another spiritual adventure of how, what else comes up within you in that new relationship. You can see more of who you are. You can see more of who you are and the power that you truly have within yourself. Because trust me, I understand that men do need to step up when it comes to relationships, but the best way to tap into that and want men to change, and it starts with you, because a lot of them are just really unaware of themselves and are in that masculine energy that's very robotic. And the women are in reactivity of emotions. So use your emotions with God, with yourself. Be with your body. Be inside of your body. Don't leave your body thinking about the worrying and what this person's doing, what this person isn't doing. Tap into your own personal feelings, because when you get out of your body, at times you could be overly hurt. When people try to escape their situation or their environment, they're escaping feeling what they need to feel. So when they come out of their body, they feel 10 times more hurt. Sometimes when people are even out of their body, they become violent. They kind of black out and space out, and they don't even know what they're saying. So when you decide not to react and you become internal about your emotions and you allow yourself to feel those emotions, that's where the progress becomes. And God will even drop in. There's been times where God will drop in because I'm like feeling what I'm feeling, and the room will clear and the energy in the room changes because I felt it, and I felt it released, and it really didn't take that long for me to feel what I was feeling. And the whole room changed. And then the other person too, the other people too in the room as well ended up catering to me. And it ended up responding to me differently. So, play with the energies and see what works for you. Don't be scared of life and what can happen or how people are going to react. Like, tense moments do happen. Start to feel okay with that. Be embarrassed about feeling or getting in tense moments or tense relationships. It's all about you at the end of the day. It never really is about the narcissist. It is, but it isn't. At the end of the day, you have an option. Like I said, you have an option for you of how you want to react. And remember, you have options, and remember that God is trying to work through you and get in there to show you a different way. And it's not going to be perfect. No one is perfect. We get that. But it's just about the progressions in your own personal attitude and how you look at yourself. When you put together taking care of yourself, eating better foods, taking your supplements to help you out, and also spiritually helping yourself, that's when you come together with who you are, and you'll start to see who you are much clearer. And this is not to diss anyone who's dealt with narcissists, because it does hurt, but it's just getting used to the fact that they do the things that they do. Getting used to it, where you don't hurt anymore over the stuff that they say. It's predictable. Never be surprised about what people do. It's not becoming numb. It's just that we have a lack of knowledge. I'm still learning. Everybody is still learning. It's just the intention behind wanting to continuously learn who you are and being honest about who you are and where you're at. That is the difference. That's the difference. So when you are present, look at it as you, and that being present is a weapon. Being present is a clear weapon to being inside of your own body and being comfortable with who you are and not allowing your insecurities to overtake you. You could personally look in the mirror and find something about yourself that you don't like. That's easy to do. That's so easy to do. Everybody does that. A lot of people do that. A lot of people tap into their insecurities. It's really easy to do stuff like that. So let's do what's kind of quote unquote hard, which is actually easy. It's actually easy to start loving yourself. It really is. It just seems like it's uncommon, and the insecurity outweighs actually loving yourself. No, it doesn't. Having an insecurity is low vibrational, and if you look at it a certain way, you could raise the meaning of what insecurity means. So don't let your insecurities come, don't let that in here. That's not loving. That's not loving unless you love to feel like shit or love to have insecurities. Who even decided that is even a thing anyways? That doesn't even need to be in your world, an insecurity. It doesn't even need to be there. And if it is there and it starts to creep in, change the way you look at it. Change the way you look at it. Feel it and change the way that you look at it. Pick a different option. Pick a different option of how you look at your own personal insecurities. So being present is a weapon. It's a weapon. You know, being connected to your breath, being connected to yourself is a weapon. And you can use that to your benefit once you continuously tap in to self. Because I'm all about empowering people to figure out what is best for them, not me telling them who they are. It's all about you feeling empowered to be who you are. I love seeing people who are different, especially when I lived in Southern California. There's so many people who are expressing themselves. And that's one thing that I absolutely love about Southern California is that people express themselves. They wear the clothes that they want to wear. They design their own clothes. There's so many different types of foods to eat there, to experience. Like, it's definitely a melting pot to where you can have a true experience of that human experience of non-judgment. That is one of the places where there's no point in judging anyone there, because everyone is very unique. Everyone has their own style. So have your own style of thinking. Have your own spiritual way of thinking that's unique to you. Have it. I like hearing people and their different ideas and the things that they've experienced. I've never been the one to be a hater of someone else's experience. If anything, like, I ask a lot of questions like, oh, how was that? Where did you eat? Where'd you go? You went there? Like, I want to know, because it's really cool to hear other people and their own personal perspectives. But it doesn't have to make me feel insecure. I'm learning. They might say something that I've never heard before. So I'm open to that when conversing with people. So never let your insecurities override you. Like, don't let them overtake you. Don't let your fears become overbearing over you and you're swimming and swamping in your fears. But the first thing that you have to do is feel it. Feel your fears, and on the other side of feeling your fears, there's strength. There's the God of armor there. The God of armor is there. Protection is there. So don't worry about trying to be the nicest person in the room. Don't worry about that. That is up to the other people to adjust their crown of why they feel like they need your attention. Why do they need your attention? You know, like, you don't have to cater to anyone. You want to get into that space where, you know, no matter what anyone does, you're fine. You're not swayed. And someone's belief systems are not going to infiltrate you to where you don't know who you are anymore. You want to be that firm that secure in what you know. Because we all know, we all have an inner knowing. But like I said, we forget because we're in this human body, and then we identify it, and then other people are identifying like, oh, you're a woman and you're smaller. So they treat you as if you don't know anything, like whatever program that they have running in their mind at that point in time. But you got to override that. You got to be stronger than the room. You got to override that. You got to know that there's people like that out here. And once you accept it more and more and more and more, and you accept yourself, that's when things start to change. And you don't resist what you're going through. You're not resisting what you're going through. You either stay or you go. Those are the only two options that you truly have in those situations. In those situations, we always have a choice. And you have every right to make that choice as an adult. As an adult, you have every right to make those choices. God is not going to condemn you for making a choice that you know is good for you. That you know is good for you. Take those chains, the ball and chain that's connected to people telling you what you need to do, people condemning you for what you want to try or who you want to become. Don't worry about those people that don't see what you see. Don't do it. Override that. Because at the end of the day, I'm telling you guys, at the end of the day, they have to deal with their stuff, their traumas. So you might as well do what you want to do. And most of the time when they're saying stuff about you and all that stuff, they still have to lay with themselves. They still have to deal with their trauma. They say what they need to say. They'll say something derogatory or negative, and then they'll move on. But don't let them weigh you down from who you want to become. They're just a person. And so this hierarchy or this pedestal of looking at people and them dictating where you want to go, pull that cord. Pull that emotional cord that you have connected to that individual who's affecting what you want to do. And once you take responsibility of that cord that is connected to you and that person, and how you do that is you emotionally feel everything that person has ever done. Feel everything. Feel all your insecurities. Feel it. Feel all of it. So that's how you can disconnect that emotional cord from anyone. You feel everything. You feel all the pain. You feel every ounce of it. So you can pull that emotional cord from that individual. And then that energy goes back into you. That energy, that hole within you gets patched up just like a tire that has a hole and air is coming out and it has a nail in it. And so you go to the auto place and they fix your tire. They take the nail out that was hurting the tire, that was hurting you. The nail that the person, the narcissist, whoever, threw into you, and you took it in as yours. Now the nail is like it's part of the tire, knowing damn well it's not supposed to be there. So you take the nail out, now the tire is patched up and the tire is still good to go. It still has bruises from the nail, but it's not you. You know, those bruises are not you. The pain is not you. So now that tire is working effectively again because it saw where that blind spot is. It found where that energy or that hole was leaking within, and now it's patched. You found the nail in your tire. So you're good to go now. You know, God drops in when you want to win within yourself. So when you love yourself just as much as you love God, that's when God can come through you and solidify truly who you are. It, like I said, it gives you that, it patches a hole in your, God patches the hole in the tire. You noticed it. You noticed the tire was low and that there's something wrong here. So you met God halfway because you wanted to fix the problem. And now God is working through you and patched up that hole within you. So it all comes together. It all comes together. But I don't want anyone to feel like you're not being seen, that your feelings are not validated. It is, but you'll definitely get to a space where you'll just accept the fact that there are narcissists here on this planet, and you'll be stronger than you know that you could ever be. And then you'll look back at yourself and be like, wow, I really went through that, and all of this was leading me to here. Every single thing that happens in your life, you're leading yourself to your higher self, as long as you are open to that, as long as your intentions are there. But along those struggles and challenges, you learn so much about yourself. But it was set up that way for you. It was set up for you so you could see how actually powerful you really truly are, and how all these things happen and they really don't mean anything at the end of the day. The things that the things that people did, they end up starting to become very blurry once you get to a certain space where you're like, this is all happening for me to become a better person, to get closer to the higher self, to get closer to God, to get closer to the universe. And so when you are committed to that more than anything externally, when you're committed to God, committed to yourself, committed to the person within you, committed to the universe that's within you, you will start to outweigh the external. You'll look at the external in a way where this is just what it is right now. This is just what it is. And your spirit, there will basically be more substance to you spiritually. You'll be more spiritually fed because you've been doing the work and you've been intentional with yourself. So the external world won't faze you as bad. You'll deal with your stuff differently. You will handle yourself with kindness and love. So use your sensitivities to your benefit. Don't use your sensitivities to tear yourself down. Use your sensitivities to discern who people are, whether they are narcissists or whatever you want to call them. Use your sensitivities as your benefit. Thank you guys so much for listening, and I will be back again with another video. Peace.